I was transported to another world, but my power is dying horribly. You ever die in someone's arms, holding on to their name like it's the last thing tethering you to the world? I have, more than once. And it doesn't get easier. My name is Subaru Natsuki. I was just a loser, back in Japan. Hikikomori, no job, no goals. I went to the convenience store one night, and before I knew it, I blinked. And I was somewhere else. Stone roads. People in cloaks, swords, magic, a legit fantasy world. At first, I thought, oh, cool, I've been isekai'd. Maybe I'll get cheat powers in a harem. What I got instead? Pain, paranoia, blood, and a power that felt more like a curse than a blessing. They call it return by death. Every time I die, I go back, reset to a point in time only I remember, like a game save. But this isn't a game. I still remember every moment of every death, every scream, every time I bled out, froze, got torn apart, and no one else remembers any of it. To them, it never happened. Day 1. Satella. The first time I died, I was trying to help this beautiful silver-haired girl. She told me her name was Satella. She was looking for her stolen insignia. I tagged along, thinking I could be useful. We found the thief, Felt, a kid living in the slums, but we were too late. This assassin named Elsa, the bowel hunter, has sliced me open before I even knew what was happening. Darkness. Pain. Then, I woke up. Same fruit stand. Same sky. Same damn moment. It happened again. I died trying to protect Satella. Over and over. Stabbed. Crushed. I tried every route, every word, every path. Each one ended in death. Eventually, I figured out how to buy Felt's help. Survived long enough to get Reinhard, a literal superhero knight, involved, and barely stopped Elsa. That's when I learned her real name. Emilia. Days in the mansion. Comfort, lies, and murder. After that, I passed out and woke up in a massive estate. That's when Arc 2 began, what I now call the Mansion of Death. There I met Rem and Ram, twin maids with sharp tongues and even sharper weapons. Beatrice, a grumpy little girl who lived in the library and hated me from the moment we met. Roswal, a nobleman who dressed like a circus act and spoke like a poet. And of course, Emilia, who had brought me here after the chaos. Everything seemed calm. I started working around the mansion. Cleaning, learning, trying to be useful. I wanted Emilia to see me as something more than a stray dog. She picked up off the street. And then, I died again, in my sleep. The curse. I woke up same as before. 3 days earlier. I knew something had gone wrong. So I tried to stay alert. Nice to everyone. Super helpful. Still died. Next time, I tried asking Beatrice about curses. She didn't answer much. But I learned one thing. Someone or something was killing me silently. And then, on my third try, Rem killed me, smiled sweetly during the day, then crushed my body in the halls of the mansion with a giant spiked flail. No remorse, just death. I woke up shaking, sweating, terrified of her. Rem's suspicion, Ram's silence. I realized that in each loop, Rem suspected me. Something was triggering her to think I was a threat, that I was cursed. She wasn't wrong, I was cursed. I just wasn't the enemy. I started to dig deeper, paid attention to every little thing. Where I went, who I touched, what I said. It wasn't until I visited the village again that I noticed the dog bite. A seemingly innocent bite from a stray in the village. That's how the curse spread. The forest, the maybeasts, and the horn. I convinced Rem to help me save the kids from the village who had also been bitten. We raced into the forest, and it became hell. The trees were thick, the fog blinding. And the maybeasts, twisted, demonic creatures, came out in droves. They were fast, hungry, and they hunted in packs. We fought them off, barely. Rem was terrifying. Her demon horn unleashed her full strength. She was like a force of nature. But even that wasn't enough. She was wounded. I had to carry her. That run through the forest felt longer than any life I'd ever lived. Her body was heavy. My legs failed me more than once. I was bleeding. Cold. But I didn't stop. Becoming someone worth saving. I finally earned Rem's trust, not through strength, but through stupid, stubborn persistence. She saw I wasn't evil. I wasn't cursed by choice. I was just a broken idiot trying to help. She smiled at me for the first time. And when Ram and Roswell showed up and cleaned up the remaining monsters, I realized I'd won. I'd survived a loop. Day 12. The promise. Back at the mansion, Emilia thanked me. Rem respected me. Ram called me a moron, but with less venom. I stood outside that morning and just breathed in the air. For the first time since arriving in this world, I wasn't on the verge of death. I hadn't just lost someone, I hadn't failed. I was terrified of when the next loop would come, of who I might lose next, of whether there would be a point where even return by death couldn't fix things. But for now, I had one promise: to protect Emilia, no matter how many times I died doing it. I thought surviving the mansion meant I was getting stronger. I thought saving Rem, earning Emilia's gratitude, and breathing without fearing the next death meant I'd finally turned a corner. I was wrong. So damn wrong. The capital was calling. Emilia had to formally declare her candidacy for the royal selection, the process to choose the next ruler of Lognica. I wanted to go with her. I needed to be with her. But Emilia told me no. She didn't say it cruelly. She smiled gently, said it was politics, said I deserved rest. But to me, it felt like being thrown aside. After everything I'd done, everything I'd died for. And still, I was just some outsider. A stray mutt she patted on the head when convenient. So I pushed, begged, argued, and Emilia relented, reluctantly letting me come with her. God, I wish she hadn't. In the capital, I met the other candidates. Priscilla, arrogant, regal, terrifying. Krush, honorable, noble, sharp. Anastasia, calculating. Felt, somehow now, a royal candidate despite being a slum rat. And, of course, Emilia. And then Julius. Knight of the Royal Guard. Perfect posture. Polished armor, a tongue sharp enough to gut me with words alone. He called me out, called me a fool, an embarrassment. I called him a clown. We fought, I lost, humiliated, bruised, broken. I stood in front of Emilia, bleeding, choking on my pride, and demanded she side with me. She didn't, and she was right not to. But I didn't understand that yet. I ran from the capital, back to Roswell's mansion, and that's when I found everyone was dead. Rem, Ram, Beatrice, Roswell, even Petra, the little girl from the village, her hand sticking out from the rubble, like a forgotten doll. Blood, silence, cold ashes. My body locked up. My mind couldn't catch up. And then, darkness took me again, returned by death. I came back. Same cart, same road, same moment before I reached the mansion. I didn't waste a second. I told the driver to turn around. We had to get back faster. I had to stop the slaughter before it happened again. By the time I reached the village, the sun was setting. Too late. Again. The air was thick. Wrong. Like breathing through a wet cloth soaked in rot. The mansion door was cracked open. I stepped inside. Silence. Then, the scent hit me. Copper, burnt meat, blood. I ran through the halls, calling their names. Emilia, Beatrice, Rem. Nobody answered. I found them one by one. Ram's body folded over a desk, eyes wide in surprise. Roswell, twisted and charred like a puppet doused in oil. Beatrice, her little hand clutching a book soaked in red. And Rem, she wasn't even there. I screamed. Return by death. This time, I brought Rem with me. I told her everything. Not about return by death, can't, but enough. That she believed something terrible was coming. She agreed to investigate. We reached the village together. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kids were gone. Doors were locked. The whole place smelled like fear. That's when we saw them. White-robed figures, faces blank, eyes full of madness. The witches' cult. They came like ghosts, silent, fast, coordinated. We fought. Rem unleashed her horn, tore through them like a storm, but they just kept coming. We ran for the mansion, but they were already there. It was a slaughter. In the chaos, Rem was separated from me. I screamed her name until my throat bled. I ran down blood-slick halls. Every room I opened was worse than the last. Bodies, torn limbs, burnt flesh. Then I found her. Rem. Torn apart. Not just dead. Mangled. Like they took their time. Her chest had been caved in. Her limbs twisted. Her eyes, wide, empty, still staring at me. I dropped to my knees. My lungs stopped working. She died alone. Afraid. Calling my name. and I wasn't there. I held her corpse until the sun came up. Then, darkness again. I came back. Again. But this time, I didn't move right away. I sat in the back of the cart and stared at my hands. They were shaking. Not because of fear, because of rage, because of helplessness. I wasn't strong enough, fast enough, smart enough. I kept dying, and no matter how hard I tried, Rem sat beside me, alive, breathing. She looked at me with concern in those ocean blue eyes. "Are you okay, Subaru-kun?" I couldn't answer. I couldn't lie to her face again. I couldn't pretend I had it under control, but I had to do something. I tried going to Crush for help. She turned me away. I tried warning the capital. They thought I was raving. I tried again, and again. Each time I was ignored, laughed at, dismissed. They didn't understand. I couldn't tell them what I knew, and every second wasted was another chance for Rem to die. So I begged. I begged on my knees, in the street, snot running down my face, screaming for someone to listen, for someone to care. Nobody came, except Rem. She pulled me up from the dirt, didn't say a word, just held me. Her hands were warm, and that's when I realized she always believed in me, even when I couldn't say why, even when I broke down again and again and again. Rem never left my side. So we rode back out, just the two of us, into the dark. We found the cult again. This time, their leader appeared, Betelgeuse Romane Conti, an archbishop of sin, wrath in human skin, madness incarnate. He spoke in broken riddles, laughed and cried at the same time, talked about love like it was a weapon. Every movement, every twitch of his body, unnatural, wrong. He called me slothful, said I bore the witch's scent. He knew me. I didn't know him, but he knew everything about me. And then, he took Rem. She fought. God, she fought. Claws out, horn burning. But she was outnumbered. Hands, invisible hands, grabbed her, snapped her limbs, crushed her ribs, squeezed until the life left her. I watched, frozen, helpless, as she was shattered. Again. I crawled to her body, my legs broken from a fall. Her blood was warm on my hands. I begged her not to die. I screamed. I sobbed. She smiled. She apologized, and then she was gone. I crawled the rest of the way to the mansion, my bones grinding together, my fingers leaving trails of red on the floor. I found Amelia, but I was too late. She was already dead, and I couldn't even scream anymore. Just silence. Then darkness. I came back again. Same cart, same moment. Alive. But I didn't care. Not this time. I didn't speak. Didn't move. I stared at the road like it was a graveyard stretched into the horizon. Rem sat beside me, silent for a long time. Then she said my name, soft, concerned. Subaru-kun? I didn't answer. Couldn't. I was empty. What was the point? I'd tried everything. Screamed for help. Died for people. Burned, bled, watched the people. I loved get torn apart in front of me over and over. Nothing changed. No matter how hard I tried, I lost. Every time. Back at the capital, I started spiraling. I lashed out at Julius, at Crush, at Rem, at myself. I screamed that I was useless, that everything was falling apart, that I was just some stupid loser who thought this world owed him something for showing up. I couldn't save anyone. Not Amelia, not the village, not Rem. I told her that I hated myself, that I'd rather run away, disappear, die, and stay dead. Rem didn't flinch. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. And then she said she loved me. Not because I was a hero. Not because I saved her. But because I was Subaru. Because I tried. Because I got back up when I had no reason to. Because even when I was selfish and scared and falling apart, I kept moving. I broke. Right there, in her arms. I sobbed like a child. Begged her to stop. Begged her not to love something as broken as me. But she only held me tighter. And she said, "If you can't believe in yourself, then believe in me, who believes in you." I asked her to run away with me. We could disappear, leave everything behind, live quietly, somewhere far. She smiled, said she imagined it once, told me every detail. A little house, a garden, kids, warm mornings, soft nights. She painted it all with her words. And then she said no. because I wasn't the kind of person who could run, because the Subaru she loved was the one who stood up, no matter how broken he was. So I stood, one more time, because she gave me her heart, because she gave me a reason to live again, because she believed in me when I couldn't even look at my reflection. I made a promise. To Rem, to Emilia, to myself. No more running, no more breaking. I was going to win, even if I had to die 100 more times to figure it out. But this time, I'd do it differently. This time, I'd ask for help. I returned to Crush's camp, swallowed my pride, apologized, begged, not for myself, but for Emilia, and Rem, for the people I failed and didn't want to fail again. To my shock, they listened. Crush agreed to lend her troops. Felix, the sharp-tongued healer, glared daggers at me, but said he'd help if I didn't act like an idiot again. Even Wilhelm van Astria, the sword demon, stood beside me. And Rem never left my side. Not once. We planned. We gathered strength. I mapped out every move from every death, every piece of the cult's attack. We'd strike first, hit hard, no hesitation. The day of the battle came. Fog rolled in thick, swallowing the forest. The witch's cult crept forward, hooded figures, twitching with madness, whispering about love and sloth, and the witch of envy. But this time, we were ready. Crush's knights formed a wall of steel. Wilhelm cut through the shadows like a force of nature. Rem fought like the demon she was meant to be. And me? I didn't have a sword. I didn't have magic. But I had my resolve. I coordinated, directed, pushed us forward. This time, I mattered. Then he appeared. Beetlejuice. That same twisted body. That same voice soaked in madness. But I didn't flinch. Not this time. He saw me and froze. Called me an embodiment of sloth. Called me unworthy. And laughed. Always laughing. Then the hands came. Invisible, crushing, tearing. But I was ready. I'd watched Rem die to them. I'd felt them tear me apart. And I knew how to spot them now. Just enough to dodge. Just enough to bait. I led Betelgeuse away from the others. Into the caves. Alone. Just him and me. The cave walls felt like they were closing in. Cold. Damp. Every footstep echoed like a countdown. Betelgeuse's laughter bounced off the stone like a curse. Incompetent. Slothful. Filth. 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 How dare you interfere with our gospel? With her love? His eyes bulged with tears and fury. But I didn't flinch. Not anymore. I'm here to put an end to this. He screamed. Invisible hands shot toward me like snakes of pure hatred. But I was ready. I baited him, used oil, traps, misdirection. I'd planned every inch of the terrain. I couldn't see his hands, but I'd died enough times to know where they'd go. Every time he struck, I was already moving, bleeding, but alive. Rem's words echoed in my head. If you can't believe in yourself, believe in me, who believes in you? I used that, held onto it like a shield. Every scream from Betelgeuse was another step forward. Every near death was another chance earned. And then I saw it. The book, his gospel, the twisted scripture he clung to like salvation. He called it his guide, his path. It was the only thing he cared about more than love. So I burned it, set it ablaze in front of him, and watched him break. His voice cracked, his limbs flailed. He screamed like a child abandoned by the world. He rushed me, and I let him, right into the trap. Boom. Fire. Stone collapsed. The ceiling caved in. He screamed one last time before the rocks silenced everything. Dust. Smoke. Stillness. I staggered out of the cave, coughing blood, barely standing. But I was alive. The cult was finished. Rem found me, ran to me, held me again, and I broke into sobs. Again. But this time, they were tears of release, of hope. We returned to the mansion. The village was safe. The children laughed. The sunrise touched Emilia's hair as she stood outside, alive and well. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a failure. Not because I saved everyone, but because I didn't give up. Because I finally became the Subaru she believed I could be. And that wraps up my first deep dive into ReZero storytelling. If you enjoyed this kind of content, even just a little, drop a like. It helps more than you know. And if you want more emotionally heavy, detailed anime breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button and join me on this ride. I've got a lot more coming. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay strong.